Assalamu guys, Irfan back again with another video, and in this video what we are going to do is we are going to build a simple inventory control system in Excel. Okay, so in this you will be able to uh, you know for this example what we are doing is we're going to pretend that we are working in a computer shop and we order parts from our suppliers, and then we sell it to our customers, and we need to maintain the inventory uh, using Excel and how much of each product we have in our stock. Now you could be selling products to your customers, or they could be reserving them, so kind of sort of like a layaway. They put a small deposit, and when they have the full money paid up, then they come and pick the item up. But as soon as they have basically reserved an item by putting down a down payment, we need to take it out of the active inventory, because that's no longer sellable. Also, if you have already sold, that needs to get taken out of the active inventory. When you buy products from your suppliers, those need to get added into the active inventory. So anytime you are selling or reserving a product for a customer, you subtract from the active inventory, and when you order products from your suppliers, you're adding to your active inventory. Okay, so let's get started. Now, what I have done is I have, in the interest of time, I have set up a master sheet here. Now, what this is basically a list of the just as a sample list of all the products that your computer shop sells. Okay, so the first column is the item category. Okay, then you got the item code and the item description. So there are two types of products related to keyboards. One is a keyboard, it's a complete assembly, or you could just buy the key tabs by themselves. There are three different capacities of hard drives that are available for sale. Two types of batteries, one with 3 cells, the other with 6 cells. Then you got two different capacities of RAM, and a 14-inch and a 17-inch display. Okay, so like I said, in this for the operation of this shop, there will be reservations that will be happening. Customers coming in, just giving you a deposit, and you have to take it for the particular product, because they may or may not have enough money to pay for it upfront. So you, because it's still reserved, you have to take it out of the active inventory, or if you have sold a product, that needs to go out of the active inventory. If you have bought product, that needs to get added. So the first thing that we're going to do is we'll create another sheet for the reservations. Okay, we'll leave this the way it is. Let's go and create a sheet called reservation. Okay, now here's where all the reservations are going to go. All right, so I'm just going to copy paste these headings here to save myself retyping. Okay, so we've got the item category, item code, and the item description. Okay, now we need to have the reservation date as to when the reservation was done, and the reservation quantity, how much was reserved and when was it reserved and what item was reserved. So that's in your reservation. Then we come to purchases. That's when you are ordering a product from your suppliers. Oops. And I'm just going to go here and just copy these headings here. Okay, and I'm just going to change the reservation to purchase, and reservation quantity to purchase quantity. Okay, and now we've got the master sheet, we've got reservations, and we've got purchases. Okay, we need to add one more for the sales. This is basically customers that walk into your store and they pay the full amount up, upfront, so they can walk out with the product. So we need to take care of that also. And I'm going to change this purchase to sales date, and let's make it sale date and sale quantity. Okay, now this system that we are developing here, it is going to be a complex system. Somewhat, well, it won't be complex, but it's going to be a little time consuming. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to split this video into 2 or 3 parts. Okay, because even this far, we have eaten up 6 minutes. So I'll probably break this up into 2 to 3 parts. Okay, otherwise it will be a little bit difficult to absorb. Now, what we need to do is, in the reservation, we need to have drop downs for the category. Okay. Now, the reason why we want to have drop downs here and for the item code is because we do not want people actually manually typing these in. We want the system to be, to allow them to pick it up from a drop down list. Okay. What that does is it eliminates any mistakes or errors in data entry. Okay, because if you were to type an incorrect item code, first of all, the item description will come up as blank. Will not find anything with that incorrect item code. It may find something a description for something else, because you, instead of putting a code for one item, you have put in a code for something else. But if the code is not found in your database, then the item description will come up blank. So just to kind of make sure that the errors are kept, data entry errors are kept down to the bare minimum, what we need to do is we need to make these 2 fields as drop downs. Okay. Now, if we go back to the master sheet, if you see the first 2, now this one key underscore 386 and key underscore 750, these are both part of the keyboard category. So what we need to do is, when we over here, the categories that should show up is just keyboard, hard drive, battery, RAM, and display. Now, depending on which category I select, if I select keyboard, now for the item code, it should only show me these 2. But if I have selected hard drive as my item category here, for the when I'm on the item code, the drop down should give me the 3 options: the 750, the 500, and the 1 terabyte hard drives. Okay, so basically this column drop down is going to be dependent on what you have selected here. Okay, similarly for purchases, this would be dependent on this column, and sales item code would be dependent on this column. The reason why we do that is because first of all, it's easier for you to find something if you know if it's a keyboard. Now, for example, if I were to put in a filter here, okay. Now, say for example, you have selected keyboard. Now, this is the only 2 choices that will be showing in the drop down for the item code. So it's a lot easier for you to select, as opposed to if you have something like this, and then you have to select which item you want. Okay, so you just want to make it as user friendly as possible. Okay, so a couple of things that we need to do. I had done a video on this some time back on the dependent drop downs. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to come back to this sheet here. Now, here what we need to do is we are going to add 3 more columns. Okay, now the reason why I'm adding 3 more columns is 1 for each of these guys. Okay, now what happens is when you select a category from here, pivot table should get updated with filter that we should only show item codes from that particular category. Okay, so let's first yeah, let's go ahead. Let's just call this reserve found, purchase found, sale found. Okay, let's just resize these columns. Now, based on the selection that we do here, something needs to trigger here that would cause the filter to be able to be used to just filter the categories. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is we need to figure out what's drop down you have selected in this column. Okay, so your cursor could be here, could be here, could be anywhere. Okay, so it needs to know whatever row that you are in, of that row, the A column, and in that row, that cell that you get, what is its value? Okay, now the reason why you want the value is, say for example, this was keyboard. Okay, so when you filter this on keyboard, only these two lines will show up. Because it's being filtered on keyboard, for item code will only show these two options. It will not show the three hard drives, the two batteries, the two memory chips, sticks, and the two displays. Okay, so what we need to do is, first we need to figure out which row number we are on, and then we'll apply a pivot on this, and then filter that pivot based on the category. Okay, so let's see. Let me just move a little to the right here. As I usually like to go to as far right as I can. Okay, so let's see over here. I'm just going to change the color. So now this is very scary. Now, if I am in row number 11 and my active cell and column BZ, my active column is BZ11. Okay, so I want this to get populated with, and in fact, it would have the $sign to make it absolute. Okay, now what do I do to figure out what the row number is? The row number is the digits on the right. Now this could be a single digit, it could be a double digit, it could be a triple digit. So the first thing that we do is we get rid of the first starting $sign. Okay, so the way we do that is we use the right function. Basically, we want all the characters right off this first $sign. Okay, BZ1, that's this cell here. And how do we know how many places we need to go? Just take the length of this cell, whatever is in the contents of the cell, take the length and you subtract 1 from that, because you're only getting rid of $sign. So you subtract 1, whatever you get, you take those many characters from the right. So basically, essentially what you're doing is you'll be eliminating the first $sign. Let me just explain that again. So you have a $sign, B, Z, $sign, 1, oops, sorry. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the length is 6. Okay, if we subtract 1, we get 5. So now from the right hand side, we start counting 5 characters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We stop at B. Okay, now we have stopped at B. So we have basically eliminated the first dollar sign. Now, if this was like so, we would count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 characters minus 1 gives you 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Once again, you're stopping at B. Okay, so that's how we get rid of the first dollar sign. So we do right. Okay, BZ1, which is this cell here, and then what we do is we take the length of whatever is in this cell and you subtract by 1. So you see how now we've got rid of the starting dollar sign. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to just look at the last digits, the numbers. Okay, now how do we know where the numbers start? Okay, let's take that example again. Well, we've got rid of the dollar sign, so now we've got B, Z, dollar, 1, dollar, 1. Okay, so the numbers, this 1 and 1, that starts right after the dollar sign. Okay, now if it's got triple 1, again anything after this dollar sign is where the numbers start. Okay, so let's see where the dollar sign is. So we are going to do a search. Okay, find text. So we are going to find the dollar sign. Okay, within what? We are finding the dollar sign within this text here. Okay, so it says that it's the third position. 1, 2, 3. So B is 1, Z is 2, and the dollar is 3. So at the third place, you found the dollar sign. Now anything beyond the third character is your numbers. Okay, so now we've got that figured out. So now we use a write function again. Okay, and take this cell this time. Okay, and we do length of this character minus the location of the dollar sign, and that gives you 11. Okay, so say for example this was instead of BZ 11, this was 152. The number is 52. So we are on, if this represents the active cell, this tells you which row you are on. Okay, now we've got that far. Now the tricky part is how to get this cell to show you to get populated with the location of the active cell. So when I click here, the active cell is BV10. I click here is BX6. I click here is BS4. I click here is BW2. Okay, so what I want to do is make this cell dynamic in the sense that it needs to automatically update depending on where my what my active cell is. Okay, so here's where we're going to be using a little bit of VB. So we go into the developer tab up here, Visual Basic, and this was reservations. So we come here and this is worksheet. Okay, now the code that will go in is range, okay, and then double quotes BZ1 dot value is equal to, basically what that means is with the range you can actually define a range or you can define a particular cell. So we're saying in the BZ cell, which is this guy here, the value of that cell, make it the active cell address. Okay, so what to put in BZ1? Put in the active cell address. Now, in order to make sure that, in order to make it actually update that cell, this cell here, we need to have it update also, because otherwise what's going to happen is just going to remember in memory, but it's not going to actually plug that value in here. So the way we actually get it to plug that value in is we do this worksheet dot, oops, sorry, yeah, workbooks, I'm sorry, dot refresh all, and we are done. Now if you see, if as I move my mouse around, click anywhere, this cell gets updated. When this cell gets updated, all these cells, because they've got formulas working in there. So like if I go on row number 6 and column number BR, so this guy should show me 6. That's what I need. I just need to know which row I am on. Okay, that's all I need to know, which row. Okay, now excuse me, once I've figured out which row I'm on, I need to, if I move back here, that's column A is my categories. Okay, so I need to pick up what category I am in that row. What category have I entered? Okay, so let's do indirect. Now the indirect command, what that does is it constructs a reference to a cell. Okay, we have done a video on this also, but let's just quickly go through it. So basically what it does is, see this indirect reference cell and then the number. So in this case, because our column was column A, where we had the category, item category, you know, put A within double quotes, and then the ampersand. There you go, and close bracket. Now basically what it does is, this is going to tell you, this is depending on which row you are on, whatever is in column A is going to show up. So let me just hide a few columns here and then show you how it is getting updated. I'm just going to hide these columns. Okay, now supposing here I had typed keyboard. Okay, so when I'm on this row, it tells you there's a keyboard. If I go, what's the other, let's see, keyboard, hard drive. Let me just put a hard drive here, and then we can go battery. I'm just doing this so I can show you how it is working. And then we go RAM, and I think the last one is display. Doesn't matter. I know I'm typing in mixed case, and in the master it shows all uppercase, I believe, but it doesn't matter. It's not case sensitive. Okay. So now if you see, if I'm in this row where it says keyboard, it shows keyboard over here. If I click on this row, it shows battery. If I click here, it shows display. Now I can have another entry for RAM, battery, hard drive. Okay, so whichever row I'm on, it goes to the column A and figures out what is selected in column A, because it knows it is row 9. We've got that established, and in row 9, column A, it puts the value there. Okay, so we've got that established. Now what we need to do is, based on this, we need to filter the item code. if it says keyboard, if you're here, basically what it should do is it should filter these guys out. And when it filters these guys out, in the item code drop down, it's only going to show you these two. All right. So first thing what we do is, I'm just going to delete this. Okay. The first thing we need to do is we need to create a drop down for the item category. That's this one here. Okay. Let me fix this spelling here. Now, I would like to have this sorted alphabetically automatically. Okay. So, and if I enter any more items, I need to be able to have it, the option, the drop down update automatically. So the way I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight all this. In fact, let's just put a code here too. Okay. And that is, and what I want to do is, if, let's go back here and let me just put in keyboard. Okay. So if I'm on this row number 2, it will show me keyboard here. Now over here, what it should do is, it should look at this and see if it matches in the same row, if it matches the category. If it matches, then we found a match and that's good. If it doesn't match, we ignore. Okay. So let's do that. If this is not equal to CD1, and I am going to lock this. If it's not equal to, is it bad selection? If it is equal, then it's bingo. Okay, and I paste it down. Now you see, because I've got keyboard here, the first 2 rows, the category is keyboard and it says bingo. But for the rest of them, it says bad selection. Okay. So let's do the same thing for your purchases and for your sales. Okay. I'm just going to copy this. And I'm going to go to purchases. And I'm going to go to BZ and I'm going to paste. Okay. Now I also need to, in your purchases, I also need to have purchases sheet depending on which row I am. I needed to update this this cell. Okay, so I go back into developer and I just copy paste the same Visual Basic code I put in for this cell here. Okay, I will just go and copy into purchases and into sales. Okay, so the best thing is go into purchases and just copy the code and just paste it in the sales worksheet also. And we already know this reservation is working. Let's see if purchases are working. They are working. Okay, and sales, I'm sorry, I didn't copy it in sales yet. Or did I? Let me just copy that. I'm just going to copy this off from here. There you go. Okay, See, we've got that established. Right now, this says bad selection for everything. Why? Because we are in row number 5 and there's nothing here. It's blank. So it's not finding a match in the categories. But if I were to be on this row, now it should say the first 2 would be bingo, the rest of them would be bad selection. Okay. Now, this code, what we need to do is we need to copy and paste the same code over here. Okay. So I'm just gonna be a little lazy. Sorry, I'm just gonna go with the first one. Okay. So if A2 is not equal to, now this is the purchase column, so I go to the, I'm sorry, is not equal to CT, and I'm going to lock this. If it's not equal, then it's a bad selection. Actually, I can copy this, hit enter, and I'll just paste this down. Okay, now let's test. In the purchases, I will put RAM. Now if I go here, let's see what's happening. See, these two got highlighted as bingo, everything is bad selection. So now we will do the same thing here. If A2 is not equal to sales CD1, and I'm going to lock this. If it's not equal, it's a bad selection. Otherwise, it's bingo. Okay, and I'm going to bring it down. Now, if I, in the sales, if I were to put in, say, for example, display, and I go here, the last 2 is display is bingo, everything else is bad selection for sales. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight this and make it into a table. The way I do that, I highlight and then I hit Control T for Tom. This window opens up, pop-up comes up. Where is the data for your table? Is from A1 to F12, and make sure this is checked where it says my table has headers, and you click on OK. Right now, these cells I'm just going to hide. I don't need to see them. Okay. Well, actually, let's leave them the way they are for now. Okay, so now what we need to do is we'll insert a pivot table, and we need to insert it in the reservation sheet, and let's put it here. Okay, the reason why I'm doing this is I only want one item code to show up, each item code to show up only once. Okay. Item category, let's come here, and now we go to design, grand total is off, subtotal is off, tabular. Now this is, and if I do an A to Z, it will automatically sort it for me also. Now what I'll do is I'll use this to construct my drop down. Okay, so we go to data, validation, list is equal to offset. Now this we are in the reservation sheet, so yes, reservation, and then dollar CF2, dollar CF, $2. Okay. So if you've got a starting reference, how many rows down do you want to come? None. How many rows across do you want to go? None. How many, what should be the size? Would be all the number of non-empty cells in this CF. CF. Now we need to get rid of the first item, that's the heading, -1. And how many columns? Just the one column. Enter. Okay, let's see. There you go. So we've got that created. Now if I select display and I go here, let's do a bingo. Everything else is bad selection. Okay. Now from this, what we need to do is now the next step. What are the two items, or what are the 2 or 3 or as many items you have that this column has the word bingo in it? Because we need to filter this and only show, because we have selected display, we should only select these 2. Okay, so we essentially do another pivot table. We go back to our reservation sheet and we stick it here. Okay, now this time what we are going to do is we are going to use this field as as a filter field. So the reserve found comes here. Okay, and item code will come down here. Okay, now what we need to do is just like we did over here, go to design, grand totals off, because I don't want to have this grand total show up, and I don't want any subtotals at all, and I want it in the tabular form. Okay, now if I'm on this first row, because we have entered display, what that will do is make these 2 as bingo. So if I come here and I unselect the bad selection and I select that this be selected, now it's only showing these 2 options. Now this is what needs to show up now here. So what we're going to do is we are going to construct another drop down here using that new table. Okay, so go to data validation, list. Again we'll use the offset is equal to offset. Okay, reservation, and this time is going to be CH4 $CH$4. Okay, that's your reference, starting off reference. Okay, how many rows down do you want to come? 0. How many rows across do you want columns across do you want to go? 0. Now the total height of this range that you're constructing, we use the count A, and that would be this column here, CH. Now how many do you want to reduce by? Here we had to subtract 1 because of the heading. Here we've got the heading and the filter, so you've got 2, so minus 2. Okay, and how many columns does it need to have? Just the one, close bracket. Okay, so now if I come here, those are the two options that are showing. Now if I were to go back here and select battery, let's see if this changes. It does. Hard drive, different options, keyboard, RAM. Okay, another thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to have this sort automatically. Okay, now when I come, now what I'll do is I will just select this. In fact, let me just unhide these cells. You don't need to be hidden anymore. I'll just select these, hit Control T, make this into a table, make sure this is checked, click on OK, and there you go. And now what you do is every time you want to make an entry, go to the last cell, hit Tab, it will insert an Excel will insert a new blank line for you, and away you go. So we've got our reserve table done. Now let's work on purchase and sales. What I'm going to do is I'm going to end this video here, and I'm going to pick up in part 2. In part 2, what we'll do is we'll do the other two tabs. Okay, thank you very much, and stay tuned for the next video.